All right, let's talk about Bryce Young, who I didn't think had a great performance. I didn't think it was terrible either against the New Orleans Saints. A tough spot for him to be in. Did have some positives, had some negatives as well. So, yeah, let's just get into the good and the bad of Bryce Young here in week 2. Let's start off with this play. It's going to be a play action rollout towards the bottom of the screen. You have a route that I've shown on the screen. That's where Bryce Young is going to want to look towards. So, okay. Concept that can get someone open. The obvious downside is you're going to have a right-handed quarterback rolling to their left, so that makes things just a little bit trickier. As you see, it's going to be a, like I said, fake handoff, pressure coming, but he is able to get the throw off despite the pressure, and there is a window here, and as you see, Young is able to put the ball exactly where he wanted to, and they're able to pick up a decent gain there. So again, these are the kind of things we saw him do at Alabama, being able to make these throws consistently, and definitely we've seen flashes of him doing it at the NFL level as well. Again, you could maybe hope that he would do it every single play. That's just not realistic. You're not going to get that. But when we have seen him have guys get open and have windows to throw through, I think he's done a pretty good job at hitting those windows. This play was, I think, interesting, where what's going to happen is that, so right off the bat, it almost seems like a play that's destined for, like, nothing happening at all. It's a 3rd down and 15. Usually in these types of plays, not a lot you can do. However, given where they are on the field, it actually becomes a far more fascinating play because they are just outside field goal range at the 44-yard line. Can't really try, be a 61-yarder from here. But if you can gain some yards, you can at least try a long field goal, even if you're not picking up the first down. And that's what they're going to do. New Orleans is making sure they take away the deep stuff here. And so maybe making more of a underneath throw could be an opportunity for Young. As you see, Young takes the snap. He is going to fire over the middle, really well-ran route to gain a little bit of separation right here. It is a well-thrown football, and they're able to get the catch, and, that was, the only points they scored, here in the first half were because of that play. It was a very good, effective play from Bryce Young, and again, these are the little things that he did so well at the college level, and that, do translate well to the NFL level. To talk about some negatives first, this one where what's going to happen is it is a zone coverage play. They have a receiver who's going to be running a route over the middle. Okay, again, could work, right? You could get someone, could get a gap in coverage to try and make this throw. It is a 3rd down and 3. So important play in this football game. Young is going to take the snap. He is going to look in that direction, and it's pretty well covered by New Orleans. Not a lot's getting open. And in fact, just now is it getting open. And, it's kind of one of those situations where for Bryce Young, if you want to make the throw, really you have to be throwing it right now. If not, you kind of have to be just making a decision to run with the football. It's good defense. I'm not going to crush him for this or anything like that. But he does make this throw a little bit too late, and that resulted in a dangerous play there. It was knocked away, but those can result in interceptions. Have to be a little bit more careful than that. Either make the decision earlier to make the throw, or just make the decision altogether to not make the throw. I think either would be reasonable in that scenario, but he had to do one of those and made the decision too late, and it came back to bite them. This play, though, this can't happen. This is a bad situation. It's a 3rd down and 6. So again, this is where a lot of young quarterbacks actually can really struggle, is on these 3rd down plays when something doesn't get open. At the college level, something always gets open, and if not, you have plenty of time to get a ball thrown. At the NFL level, though, you got to make sure you're still moving quickly on 3rd downs. Plays don't go slower just because it's 3rd down. Watch how, Young takes the snap right here. He is going to start running up in the pocket, and there's pressure right on him. I mean, I'm surprised he isn't able to feel this pressure, quite frankly, especially when a lot of people talked about one of his big positives coming into the NFL was pocket presence. Well, clearly not on this play. As you see, not only does he get hit, but he ends up losing the football, which results in a fumble that took them out of field goal range. They could have tied the game right there at the end of the half, weren't able to do that, and these are the plays you have to avoid. He also had it happen again later, 3rd down and 9, and kind of a very similar thing where he just, holds onto the ball for slightly too long, and it results in a fumble, So, these are really bad plays. These are the kind of things you have to avoid. And while some people will look at this and say, oh, it's offensive line. It's, you can't blame the quarterback for a sack, right? No, the quarterback is actually often the biggest reason why a sack happens. I think in both of these scenarios, it's a case of him on a 3rd down scenario just holding on to the ball for too long. You got to find a way to get rid of the football a little bit quicker. You just do. I would say, though, this second one, not quite as much of his fault as the first one. I think the first one was a bit more tough, in my opinion. It ended up getting called back due to a penalty, but still, I mean, these are things that you have to work on if you're Young. Now moving over to this play. This was a negative by Bryce Young. The broadcast, I thought, actually did a pretty good job at bringing it up live, where it's, first on the bottom of the screen. So the Saints are in man coverage, and because of this, Demario Davis is actually out wide, the linebacker for the Saints. So you have your running back who's out wide as well, but this is wide open. I mean, on 3rd and 3, this could easily be a catch. Young, that's not where his read is, but I don't know, pre-snap, I think if you were a veteran quarterback, you would hope that he could see the whole field here. But of course, with a rookie, I think you have to give him more leeway. These are just the kind of things you hope he starts to, watches on film and says, oh, got to pay attention to that stuff a little bit better. Well, as you see, Young is going to instead look straight up towards the top of the screen, and that's open too, so it's not a disastrous situation. However, Bryce Young's throw is just a missed throw. I mean, that's just straight up what it was, where, he had a couple of those in this game. He did. It was not a perfectly accurate night for Bryce Young, I didn't think. I did think there were a few missed throws in here. This play was honestly another real issue with the Panthers. And this isn't Young's fault at all, but it's like, I feel like, while yes, trading away DJ Moore to get the first overall pick makes sense, there is the downside of it as well, which is like guys have to get open to help develop your young quarterback. This is going to be a zone coverage play. It was a good play call by the Saints. They have been playing man primarily in these situations. Instead, play zone here, surprise them. So smart stuff there. But watch as when Young takes the snap, I mean, literally none of the 5 eligible receivers right here are open. 2 are in one circle just because they're right next to each other on the screen. None of these players are open. And so for Bryce Young, it's just like, what do you do? And this happened far too many times. So instead, Young's going to try and scramble out because his scrambling was pretty good in this game, but he isn't able to get the first down on this play. So that's just something that you hope to see Young not have to be put in these situations as frequently, I think is fair to say. To go over to one more positive, as I mentioned, his scrambling ability was good. Let's talk about this play that for a moment felt like it might have been the play of the game. They weren't able to score. The Saints go down the field and score a touchdown and kind of ice the game. But for a moment, this looked really good. Let's talk about what happened. So Bryce Young, high snap, takes a snap, doesn't love what he sees. That was definitely a trend in this one, but there is a little window to run, and he's going to take that opportunity. As you see, he steps up, and this is a spot for a defender that I just don't envy because, while a lot of people like to clown on defenders when they get juked out by quarterbacks, there's only so much you can do. I mean, because it's not just like a regular situation where, just trying to tackle like any NFL player in open space, already relatively difficult. But when you add on to the fact that if you just are late by half a second, if there's a slide at the last second and then you go for a hit, now you're giving them a 15-yard penalty. So you have to try and avoid that as well. It's part of why Brian Urlacher got juked out by Tom Brady, right? But still, Young does pull off a pretty good juke move right here to pick up not just the first down, but significantly more, helped get them, down the field, and they needed that chunk play, and they were able to get it, albeit didn't end up mattering too much. So as a whole, this was I don't want to say awful game by Bryce Young, because it wasn't. He is just still a young player who is getting better. He showed some things, but I think that you want to see more from him. I also don't know if we're going to get that many opportunities to see more from him this year, just simply due to the lack of receivers out there, and they don't have a lot of guys to throw to, which I think might be making him look worse, even if he's not actually playing worse, which is what I thought happened here. But also, Saints have really good defense. It might just be the Saints do this to people. Who knows? But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.